All right, so now we're going to read the Butter Battle book, and we're going to stop throughout the book and ask some questions. I'm not going to read the whole book because it's kind of long, and I'm not sure we have time to read all of it.
Yeah, fine.
But I will read enough so that you get the main idea of it. So the person sitting right next to you is your partner. When I stop reading and ask a question, I don't want you to raise your hand. I want you to turn to your partner and answer the question with your partner, and then I will ask you to raise your hand. Okay? All right. So this is called the Butter Battle book. It's by Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss has written a lot of children's books. Some of them have been turned into movies. Have any of you seen the Lorax?
Yes.
Jacob saw the Lorax? Claudio? What is the main idea of the Lorax?
The trees are important.
How important the environment is, right? So in almost all of his books, there is a message. There is something for you to learn. This book is about the arms race in the Cold War. Okay. One other thing I have to tell you, and if you've seen the Lorax, you know this. Dr. Seuss makes up words. So he has some words that are really not English words. When I read it, I know this. Mr. Todd knows it when he reads it, but since you're still learning English, you might not always know if it's a real word or not. So at the beginning, I'll tell you, and then I think you'll catch on. All right. Can you all see back there?
Yeah.
A little bit? Okay. All right. On the last day of summer, ready? On the last day of summer, 10 hours before fall, my grandfather took me out to the wall. For a while he stood silent. Then finally he said, with a very sad shake of his very old head, as you know, on this side of the wall, we are the Yooks. That's a made-up word. On the far side of the wall live the Zooks. That's a made-up word. Then my grandfather said, it's high time that you knew of the terribly horrible things the Zooks do. In every Zook house and in every Zook town, every Zook eats his bread with the butter side down. When you have a piece of bread and you put something on your bread, you put it on the top.
Yes.
And then you eat it, right?
Yes.
The Zooks put the butter on the downside of the bread.
Yes, like that.
Just like that. But we Yooks, as you know, when we breakfast or sup, we spread our bread, Grandpa said, with the butter side up. That's the right, honest way. Grandpa gritted his teeth. So you can't trust a Zook who spreads butter underneath. Every Zook must be watched. He has kinks in his soul. That's why, as a youth, I made watching my goal. Watching Zooks for the Zook Watching Border Control. All right, I want you to turn to your partner. And I want you to tell me, what is Grandpa's job? What is he doing? Turn to your partner. I'll walk around and show you the picture while you're talking.
He is showing you the grandson.
What is his job? What is the Zook Watching Border Patrol? What could that be? The Zook Watching Border Tell Jacob. Just a minute. All right.
What is the other name?
That's around.
What is grandpa job?
All right, ready?
I mean,
Okay, so it told us that Grandpa here, he made his goal watching, and he watched for the Zook watching Border Patrol. What is that?
Like from the other side of the wall, the people might be like spying on them or like what they having, like how did they like put the butter differently?
Okay, so what is Grandpa doing then?
And therefore watching.
He's teaching his grandson.
He's
what
watching them. Okay, he's watching, he's spying on them. Right, he's watching to see what those Zooks are doing with their butter on the other side. Right, to make sure that they're not planning anything against them or doing something against the Yolks. And like Jaco said, he's teaching his grandson about this. This is who we are, this is who they are, this is why we don't like them. Is that a very good reason to not like someone? No, it sounds kind of ridiculous to us, right? Butter on one side or the other, not very important, right? Okay. So, right here on this page, can you see this?
No.
So here's the border, and they have a wall on the border between the Yooks and the Zooks. They have a poster. It says, Yooks are not Zooks. Keep your butter side up. I have one more question for you and your partner. This poster is an example of something that we've talked about many times in this class. Turn to your partner. Tell your partner that word that we learned.
You know that word?
For
I know.
posters like this, when the government is trying to
Great,
send a
great.
message to the people, you're going to turn to your partner and say it, not to me. Okay, there's a word we learned for posters like this that give information and try to make people think something.
Well, you know that one?
All right. 1, 2, 3. Stop talking with your partner. Okay, raise your hand if you think you and your partner know. All right, Nayeli.
No, I was
It was Claudio.
Propaganda.
Propaganda. Good job. So the government of the Yooks is putting up this propaganda to make sure all of the Yooks know that they're the good ones, the Zooks are the bad ones. And why?
We can do.
because they put the
You got to put your butter on the right side. In those days, of course, the wall wasn't so high. And I could look any Zook square in the eye. If he dared to come close, I could give him a twitch with my tongue-tufted, prickly snickberry switch.
That was made worse.
That's a made-up word. Yeah, that's a made-up word.
Don't hate.
For a while, that worked fine. All the Zooks stayed away, and our country was safe. Then one terrible day, a very rude Zook by the name of Van Itch snuck up with a slingshot on my snickberry switch. So here is his snickberry switch, which we've said is a made-up word. This is a slingshot. That's not a made-up word.
That's
Have
a
any of
good-
you ever used a slingshot?
Yes.
Yeah. So a slingshot, it's a type of weapon, right? You could hurt someone with a slingshot. So he's used it to break the snitchberry switch. With my broken off switch and my head hung in shame, to our chief Yukaru in great sorrow I came. But our leader just smiled. He said, "You're not to blame, and those Zooks will be sorry they started this game." All right, turn to your partner, and I want to know, what game is he talking about?
One word.
Am I your partner?
No.
So the chief Yuckaroo says that the Zooks will be sorry they started this game. What game? What do you think, Sarah? What game? Okay, raise your hand if you and your partner know. Flooding. A war? It could be a war. Henry.
Oh, they see that they have like a slingshot, so they may make like a new thing to come out with it, and then they
More
might have
power.
a new weapon.
Exactly. So
Arm race.
now the Yooks see that the Zooks have a weapon. So what are the Yooks gonna do? They're gonna make a weapon. And when they make a weapon, what
They're
are
gonna
the
fight.
Zooks gonna do?
Differently.
They're gonna make another weapon. What is this called?
Arms
Arms race.
I'm
All right, so let's see if you're right. Oh, we'll dress you up in a fancier suit, and we'll give you a fancier slingshot to shoot. And he ordered the boys in the back room to figure how to build me some sort of triple sling jigger. Made up word or not?
Yes.
Made up word.
When they made a
With my triple sling jigger, I sure felt much bigger. I marched to the wall with great vim and vigor, right up to Vantage with my hand on the trigger. I'll have no more nonsense, I said with a frown, from Zooks who eat bread with the butter side down. Van Itch looked quite sickly, and he ran off quite quickly. I'm unhappy to say he came back the next day in a spiffy new suit with a big new machine, and he snarled as he said, looking frightfully mean, "You may fling those hard rocks with your triple sling jigger, but I also have my hand on the trigger." All right. We're gonna stop there.
That's the stop.
We're gonna stop there for today.